Hey, welcome back. So in this video, I want to talk to you about my story for the purpose of setting an example, more actually inspiring you to what lies ahead for you. That as you walk through the tunnel of so-called darkness, that there is a way shower, and that I have gone through that dark tunnel and got to the light. And actually, truth be told, sometimes I can also be in the dark. Sometimes it can happen still. But I know how to navigate my way out of the dark tunnel into the light. So let my story, which I'm about to share with you, be an example for you when you fall down, that it is possible. So I want to share with you about my journey, how I've gone from not feeling I was good enough at all to a decade later feeling good enough. It's been a lot of trial and error. Let me start at this point. From many a year, since I was young actually, I can remember seeing visions of myself speaking to audiences. And I've always had this feeling within me, this sensation that I'm here to have great impact. I'm here to help a lot of people and to leave the world a better place, shall we say. For example, seeing these audiences when I was young just made me realize that. And when I was about 23, 24, those younger visions from years gone by really started to become strong within my being. This vision started becoming stronger, that I wanted to impact the world, and that this calling that I embodied became stronger and stronger, and this greater purpose, you could say, was starting to take over me. All right, but I couldn't really move upon it. I couldn't really do anything about it. I couldn't act upon it really. Whenever I tried, I couldn't. I would sabotage, I would procrastinate. Then one day in my mid-20s, I figured out I just did not feel good enough. Felt worthless, felt inadequate. Whenever I would look at other people, I would never feel good enough. I would compare myself, I would judge myself. Coming from an Asian culture, coming from the Indian culture, although I'm British born, there was a lot of comparison, a lot of expectations, having to live up to being someone, and frankly I never felt good enough. And then whenever I would sit down to do any of my life's work, shall I say, I would be overcome by this overwhelming feeling that I'm just not good enough, and it would stop me in my tracks. I just couldn't do the work. And it has taken me 10 years, probably more than a decade, to get to the point in my life where 9 times out of 10, or shall we say 95 times out of 100, I feel I am good enough. This video course that I'm now filming for you probably could have been done a few years ago. But I would get in front of the camera and I would be overwhelmed by this crippling feeling that I'm just not good enough. I would try and edit the crap out of these videos and just mess it up. And now I'm like, it's okay, Vinny. I got you, son. I got you. So I've got to that place where I do feel good enough, and I've experienced and I embody feeling good enough on a daily basis. And if ever, and sometimes there are other moments where I don't feel good enough, but I know how to let that baggage go. I know how to heal that aspect of me. I know how to love that part of me, and then move on another step to feeling even better about myself, feeling I am good enough. And a little bit about my past. So there's always a story or a past that has created the identity of oneself not feeling good enough. Mine was to do with what I didn't realize was I'd gone through sexual abuse at the hands of an opposite neighbor at the age of 4. And that, as you could probably understand, is going to be traumatizing, and it's going to stagnate, shall I say, the growth of any child, and therefore the adult. And I didn't know that until I got to my 20s. And then having worked with a lot of clients, coaching clients who had gone through abuse and helping them to, and having this natural ability to help them to let that part of themselves go and heal that aspect, I quickly recognized that maybe there was some abuse. And then I will explain in subsequent videos, but there were ways that I went into my unconscious and I saw that there was this abuse that had occurred when I was 4 years old. Then there was the environment within which I grew up. My family environment with my parents was not the best at all. My father was rather aggressive, angry, violent. He never physically hit me or my sister, but there was a lot of emotional abuse, mental abuse, and I had seen a lot of things in my family environment which are not healthy for any child. And you know, as any child at that impressionable age, when we see certain things, we blame ourselves, right? So I felt I wasn't good enough, and that was a part of the pattern of not feeling worthy, not feeling good enough, being shouted at all the time by my father. At anything I did, I was shouted at. So obviously that's going to have an impact. And then over the years there was the bullying. But as psychologists say, the first 7 to 8 years of your life have such a imprint upon your mind that however we perceive ourselves and the world at that very young age is essentially who we become as adults. This is why most adults are, as I say to my clients, they are children in adults' bodies, because they're living their first decade of their life. And unless they become self-aware, unless they raise their awareness, raise their consciousness about why they are the way they are, then they're going to replicate their past, their childhood as adults. And that is what I did for years. And the suffering and the pain was just, can't explain it to you, you know? And fortunately, the change in my life came about 8 years ago. Although I had been on this personal development, spiritual, emotional transformation journey since 2006 probably. So it's been about 11 years. But the real transformation occurred when I was in the final job that I ever did. So I've run my own coaching practice for the last 6 years, I'd say. And about 7 to 8 years ago, my team leader turned around to me. He used to sit next to me. I was in a corporate sales position. And my team leader, who used to sit next to me, turned around to me and said, "Vineet, do you know that you stammer?" Because in that sales position, it was about picking the phone up, interaction on a sales floor. So I thought I could hide that stammer. And what I haven't told you is, as a child, from all of those traumatic experiences, I also developed a stammer out of it. When he told me that he had noticed it, I wanted the ground to swallow me up. I thought I could hide it. And around that time, when I left work, not as in permanently, but I went home, and then over the next few weeks, or even a month or so, at some point or another, I was like, if there's a God, you need to help me. I'm in a lot of pain. But more so, you need to give me a solution. Give me a solution. And one day I was sitting in my silence. I don't even call it meditation. Sitting in my own silence. And these two words flashed up. Emotional acceptance. And when those two words flashed up for me, I just knew in that moment that they were my savior. That this method that I intuitively knew what it meant, I knew that this emotional acceptance process method was going to transform my life like no other. Because I'd already been to therapists and counselors and whatnot in my younger years, and to be honest, it hadn't had the impact that I wanted to have. Something was missing, and this was that piece in my puzzle that was missing. Emotional acceptance, then I took, in the last 8 years, I took it, and I've lived it. I've implemented it. I've evolved it. I've grown it. Not only in my life has it transformed my life, and as you can tell, there's no more stammer. It's gone. I'm a public speaker, and sometimes I'm like, wow. People will come up to me and go, wow, you're an amazing public speaker. You speak with so much passion. You're so confident, blah, blah, blah. And then if I haven't already, then I'll share with them. It wasn't always this because I, once upon a time, had a stammer. Couldn't speak fluently one-on-one, let alone large audiences. And emotional acceptance has, for the context of this course, not only has it changed my life on so many levels, I've been able to build this coaching practice where I've got clients in the UK, some across the world. But more than that, there is a joy that's beyond that, which is I feel good enough. I've been able to transform that thinking and feelings, those programs within my being that gave me the crippling feeling of I'm not good enough, and that was painful, and I've transformed that. So now I want to give this gift to you. I want to show you a method. I want to show you a process, a proven natural process. It's natural. It's natural. It will transform your life. That's my promise to you. Practice it. It's a practical process. Put it into practice, and you will experience the change, the shift in your being. It will, no doubt about it. It always works 100%. 100% because it's natural. It's worked for me, and it's worked for umpteen clients as well. And it will work for you. It's natural. So please come along with the journey with me and trust me. And just do the work. Do the little bit of work I ask you to do on a daily basis. And I promise you, you'll start feeling changes, and you will shift your inner experience, and that will lead to an outer experience. And ultimately, you feeling good enough is going to allow you to live that life that you want. And ultimately, it's going to allow you to live a greater purpose and live your life in a way that's true to you. Live from your heart, because your heart is who you truly are. And that's what's possible for you. Limitless possibilities will open up for you. That's my promise to you. So blessings from my heart to yours. I look forward to now being able to support you and teach and guide you in the subsequent videos. And let's do this. Come on. Let's do this. Blessings from my heart to yours. Much love.